Who are you supposed to be? Who are you supposed to become? Who are you told you were supposed to be? These are questions that circulate our minds often. Proving ourselves to somebody. Maybe proving yourself to your parents, even if you haven't communicated with them in a while. The archetype of your parents. Maybe proving yourself to your old bullies. People that have wronged you. Never took the time to understand who you were. And that has now left you with pain, a soft trauma that has led to the protection of it, the soul. The soul acts to protect. And then you are now left with the ego. And the ego says, we must achieve. We must win. To prove ourselves worthy. But I would imagine that deep down, maybe it's not a word that you think, but perhaps a feeling that says, I don't care. I don't care what you think. You almost are arguing with yourself. Fragmented. Part of you says, let's do this. Let's achieve this. And let's win. Let's be big. Which is usually the ego. And the soul says, which is typically represented as a child, a wounded child in this regard. That one says, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? These people don't care. You don't care. And we're just wasting our time. We're not doing what can make us feel more aligned, brighter. So why do we do it? Why do we do it? Well, we do it as a form of healing. We seek to heal. That is what we try to do. And the presentation of that healing is different. Some people heal through expressing sad emotion. Some people heal through the expression of aggression, of anger. Some people express healing through helping other people. It takes different shapes. But its objective is to heal. It's to allow you to move forward. However, it doesn't always operate in the way that you think. And how it typically operates is by protecting. And the way the soul protects is by fragmenting a memory, distorting a memory, or suppressing and pushing that memory deep into the unconscious, where you can't see it, you might even forget it, but its symptoms bubble above the surface. An analogy I use is the neck of a guitar. Now imagine where you strum that guitar, you can't see it. It's a black, smoky abyss. You can't see that bass where you strum the guitar. You can only see above the surface where the neck begins. Beneath that surface, it's being strung, and that wire vibrates up. And that vibration is an analogy for your emotions, for your thoughts, for your belief systems. Springs up. Hard to know what it's trying to tell you sometimes. Confusing. You feel confused, overwhelmed, frustrated, angry, resentful. And you want to ask yourself, well, what am I supposed to do with this? How do I move forward? How do I find myself again? Well, the way to do it, the start, is you have to dive deep beneath the surface of that fog in that dark abyss. You must. It is scary, it's intimidating, it's fearful. But I will assure you that when you do, on the other end, you will connect things in yourself. You will find commonalities and links that almost, when put together, a bright, powerful light emerges. That bright light is integration. Integrating the dark, or otherwise known as the shadow, with the light. The side of you that wants to be benevolent, the side of you that wants to do good. We often express, culturally, heavy on the idea of light, do good, and be gracious and kind, which is, of course you have to. But absent of the shadow, of the dark, if you do not observe it, do not understand it, it works autonomously. It works on its own as if you are inhabited by a spirit. Which is why sometimes something comes over you, creates reactions, anger, bursts of power, or bursts of emotion, sadness. And then you snap out of it and say, I don't know what that was. I don't know how that happened to me. They almost work autonomously. But they work less autonomously if you understand them. Try to understand them. It's a very difficult thing to pin down and observe. But if you aim to look at it, if you aim to understand it, and by it, I mean you, understanding the inner world, understanding how it moves, what are your memories, what are your pains, why are you injured? How do these injuries relate to one another, relate to the good, relate to who you are now, relate to your values? How do these things connect together? And the irony is, the less effort and force you put into it, the more you will start to see. If you try to constrict it and hold it down and be angry at it and to ask it to tell you, it will not. It will aim to protect. And when it aims to protect, it will pull it beneath the surface, constricting you. Imagine a pipe, and that wants to surface itself. You want it to surface so you can understand and observe it, feel the emotion with it, which is the healing process, experiencing the emotion in its fullest. But if we don't understand how to allow it, you get constricted. It gets tight, chokes up, pushes it back down. And that's a painful reality. It's painful. And how we cope with it is expressing a different outward image. The outward image can be, I'm strong because I don't feel. And that's sort of a current one. I'm strong because I don't feel the emotion. If I suppress the emotion, that's strength. That is not strength. Strength is allowing it to surface, allowing it to exist, take over, riding that wave, riding the dragon, as it said. Giving yourself that opportunity. It's a beautiful opportunity. You give yourself that moment. Feel what's going on. When you feel what's going on, and you start to relate them to one another, relate these emotions with that memory, relate this trauma with the current ego you have now, the performer you have now, you will begin to create integration. When you have integration, you experience what can only be really said as a wholeness to you. There is no more fragmentation, a split within your psyche, a split within your soul. It is all unified. And when it's unified, you will know what to do, where to go, how to do it. But it is very difficult. It is very difficult. Get carried away in the current world. We get carried away with the external. The external is very addictive, especially now. We have so much stimulus, so much ego stimulus, pride stimulus. But they will distract you. And then when you hop into the next endeavor that you feel will grant you this freedom of maybe money and power and whatever you think you need, because the ego commands it. However, the ego just takes orders from the protection mechanism. It seeks to protect you. But remind yourself that freedom, genuine internal freedom, comes from observing your abyss, observing the dark of what you have. And when you observe it, not critically, not with judgment, but with compassion and understanding and love, what you will come out is integration. Integration is power. That is a form of power, but not in the way that our ego would like, controlling other people. Not in that way. Wholeness. Seek wholeness.